The story of the 12 apostles is one of the most remarkable parts of the New Testament. They were ordinary men, fishermen, a tax collector, even a zealot. But Jesus chose them to carry the gospel to the ends of the earth. Each one had strengths, weaknesses, and powerful lessons that still speak to us today. Let's journey through their lives and discover the legacy of the 12 apostles. Peter, the Rock. We begin with Peter, also called Simon Peter. He was a fisherman and the brother of Andrew. Jesus gave him the name Peter, meaning rock. Peter was bold, sometimes impulsive. He was the one who walked on water, and the one who denied Jesus 3 times. Yet after the resurrection, Jesus restored him, saying, "Feed my sheep." Peter became a fearless leader of the early church, preaching at Pentecost when thousands believed. Tradition says he was crucified upside down in Rome, considering himself unworthy to die like his Lord. Peter's life reminds us that God can transform our failures into strength. Andrew, the first to follow. Andrew, Peter's brother, was also a fisherman. He had once followed John the Baptist, but when he met Jesus, he knew he had found the Messiah. Andrew's gift was bringing people to Jesus, whether it was his own brother or the little boy with 5 loaves and 2 fish. Tradition says Andrew preached across Greece and Asia Minor, and he was eventually crucified on an X-shaped cross. His quiet faithfulness shows us that introducing even one person to Christ can change the world. James the Greater, the first martyr. Next is James, the son of Zebedee, often called James the Greater. Along with Peter and John, he was in Jesus' inner circle. He witnessed the transfiguration and the agony in Gethsemane. James was also the first of the apostles to be martyred. Acts chapter 12 tells us he was executed by the sword under King Herod. Tradition says he also preached in Spain, where his legacy still inspires millions of pilgrims today. James's courage teaches us faithfulness, even to the point of death. John, the beloved disciple. John, James's younger brother, was known as the disciple whom Jesus loved. He leaned on Jesus at the Last Supper and stood by the cross when others had fled. John is believed to have written the Gospel of John, the letters of John, and the book of Revelation. Unlike the others, John was not martyred. He lived to old age in Ephesus, though he endured exile on the island of Patmos. John's message was simple but profound. God is love. Philip, the obedient servant. Philip was from the same town as Peter and Andrew. When Jesus called him, Philip immediately obeyed and then invited Nathanael to come and see. He also asked Jesus, "Show us the Father," leading to one of Jesus' most famous replies, "Anyone who has seen me has seen the Father." Tradition tells us Philip preached in Phrygia and was martyred in Hierapolis. His life shows us the power of obedience and sharing Christ with others. Bartholomew, the honest seeker. Bartholomew, often identified as Nathanael, was skeptical when he first heard about Jesus. Can anything good come from Nazareth? But when Jesus revealed that he knew Bartholomew's heart, he immediately believed. Tradition says Bartholomew traveled as far as India and Armenia to preach. His death was brutal. He was said to be flayed alive before being beheaded. His sincerity reminds us of the blessing of an honest heart that seeks truth. Matthew, the redeemed tax collector. Matthew was a tax collector, one of the most despised professions among Jews. Yet Jesus called him, and he left his booth immediately. Matthew later wrote the gospel that highlights Jesus as the promised Messiah and King. Tradition says he carried the gospel to places like Ethiopia and Persia, where he eventually gave his life for Christ. Matthew's story reminds us that no one is beyond God's call. Thomas, the honest doubter. Thomas is often remembered as Doubting Thomas, but he was also courageous. When Jesus set out for Bethany, Thomas declared, "Let us go, that we may die with him." After the resurrection, Thomas refused to believe until he saw the wounds in Jesus' hands. When Jesus appeared, Thomas exclaimed, "My Lord and my God!" Tradition says Thomas traveled to India, where the Mar Thoma Church traces its roots to him. He was martyred by the spear. Thomas shows us that honest doubt can lead to deeper, unshakable faith. James, the less, the quiet witness. James, the son of Alphaeus, often called James the Less, remains a quiet figure in the Gospels. Some believe he is the same as James the Just, leader of the Jerusalem church. Tradition says he was martyred by stoning or being beaten to death with a club. James may not have been well known, but his faithfulness teaches us that even unseen service is valuable in God's kingdom. Thaddeus, the curious disciple. Thaddeus, also called Judas, son of James, is remembered for a single question at the Last Supper. Lord, why do you intend to show yourself to us and not to the world? His words reveal the disciples' growing awareness of Jesus' mission. Tradition says Thaddeus preached in Mesopotamia and Persia, where he was martyred. His curiosity reminds us that asking sincere questions is part of growing in faith. Simon the Zealot, the passionate one. Simon was called the Zealot, possibly linked to a Jewish movement that resisted Rome. Imagine, Jesus chose both a tax collector like Matthew and a zealot like Simon, two men from opposite ends of the political spectrum. This shows the power of Christ to unite. Tradition places Simon in Persia, or even Britain, where he was martyred. Simon's passion reminds us to channel our zeal for the kingdom of God. Judas Iscariot, the betrayer. And finally, Judas Iscariot. He was the group's treasurer, but the Gospels reveal he was greedy and dishonest. For 30 pieces of silver, he betrayed Jesus with a kiss. Overcome with guilt, he ended his own life. His story is tragic, yet it stands as a warning that closeness to Jesus means nothing without true faith. Matthias, the replacement. After Judas's death, the apostles chose Matthias to replace him. He had followed Jesus from the beginning and witnessed the resurrection. Tradition says Matthias carried the gospel into Cappadocia and was martyred. These 12 apostles, ordinary men transformed by the power of Christ, laid the foundation of the church. Some were bold, others quiet. Some were leaders, others servants. All, except Judas, gave their lives for the message that Jesus Christ is Lord. Their stories remind us that God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. If you enjoyed learning about the 12 apostles, don't forget to like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe for more Bible history and faith-based content.